Well, welcome everyone. Thank you as people are still signing on and connecting to the system today. We appreciate you taking the time this morning to join us. We're excited today to bring to you on the H&H Connect platform our next program in the H&H Connect, in our monthly H&H Connect series. With our friends from Creative Retailer and Moda Fabrics, Heidi and Lissa will be here today. They are going to be presenting, which I think is something to be fun because it's a little interactive. It's a little bit about marketing. It's a little bit about crafting. It's a little bit generate traffic into your stores. So we're quite excited to hear from them today. Just going to repeat myself again. Please put yourself on mute, and that way you can use the chat systems. There's Q&A. There's different ways to connect and speak, and we will give opportunities towards the end that you can then go ahead and unmute yourself and then maybe ask questions to our panelists directly. So please, Heidi, take it away.
Very good, Darren. Thank you so much. And on behalf of Lissa Alexander from Moda Fabrics and myself, I'm Heidi Kaisand from Creative Retailer Magazine and owner of Hen and Chick Studio in Conrad, Iowa. Welcome. And Lissa and I are excited because this really is, I'm going to say the bare bones, the basics, the foundation of what every retail business needs to know or needs to be, working on. And one is the presentation in your store, the projects that you're showcasing. And then Lisa's going to talk in a few minutes about the how-to, the make and take part, or the part of the process of showing people how to make things. And so, it's a very, it is going to be very interactive today, isn't it, Lissa? We both got parts. I've got 2, if not 3 displays I want to show you if we have time. So I'm actually going to be moving the camera a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lissa, and she's going to do the make and take, the demo part, because demos are so important to engage your customers. Have I forgotten anything, Lissa? Or are we set to go?
I think that's great. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so what I want to talk about this morning, again, I'm going to try to show
this
2,
meeting is being recorded.
2, if not 3 displays. And so I'm going to step out of the camera a little bit here, and I'm going to actually see if I can pull in just a little bit more. As I said this morning, of course, the sun happens to be just shining in brightly. But I think it is so important that when a customer comes in the store, that they are drawn in immediately to color and pattern. And this particular display in my store is featuring the whole country caboodle. This is a designer that does everything from fabric to patterns to what she does best, I'm going to say, is the pre-cut, pre-fused patterns. So for example, I'm going to just show you, she does dogs. So literally, if you buy a dog, you get the pre-cut, pre-fused, right? So super easy. It takes out the worry element for people who go, oh, I don't know about, applique, or I don't want to cut out all those pieces. So I've created a display that I feel like has that color and pattern and lots of samples that are so dang cute. I mean, how could you, resist the bear with the bear bib on him, right? And so a couple of things about creating the displays like this is that I start with a story. And the story is, in this particular case, that I want them to be in love with this product. And ever since we started with this display, I consistently daily have items going out the front door, which is our goal. So I'm telling a story. I'm telling a story that they're cute things, they're useful, everything from even journals and things that people could walk away with, or pillows that are behind me that they can see that the pillows or mug rugs. So again, I'm building that story. eye level is buy level. I love that phrase, right? What am I here? Everything is eye level. So people are most likely enticed as they're walking by going, oh my gosh, I have to have this, I have to have that. You also, in a display like this, want to mix texture and props. So I've got the bear. You've already seen the bear. There's a metal container underneath of here. I've got things hanging. I've got things setting so that they are able to, I'll say, be intrigued or engaged by different things that are going on. I also like to include additional products and things that they might need. So for example, I have some Schmetz nonstick needles, perfect with working with the applique, fused applique. And we do not sell sewing machines here or anything like that, but I do carry needles for moments like this. I also have a pair of scissors hanging here that is recommended by the designer. So for cutting, for cutting extra small pieces if you need them. And then we actually have added a QR code, and I'm going to pull this up because you probably can't see it from the distance, but I have a QR code here because I did I think it was probably 45 minutes to an hour-long conversation with the owners, Leanne and her daughter, Caitlin. And I did that so that our customers could learn about the company, I always think that if the customer, it has more connection to the company that you're trying to sell, then they're more likely to go, hey, I know that person. Oh, I've seen them. Did you see Caitlin just had a new baby? Do you mean that kind of connection is also engaging for the customer? So in that video, Leanne also did some how-to tips. So free, easy, it's accessible on our website. So I gave a QR code plus the direct link to the website page where that video lives, as well as a link to all of the product that we sell from them. So that I have got I'm going to set it back down here, but I have that up here as well. So that if I'm not standing right here, or if an employee is not standing right here, which how often does that happen, that then the customer can go, oh, hey, there's a QR code. I can learn something more. So I think those things are all pretty important in this display. I also have in one of the drawers down here, it's a product that Leanne promotes for working with your applique. She talks about it in the video. So that product is right here. And we have some of the kits, some of the patterns hanging here. And what you can't see is literally right here where my hand is are all the patterns, more of the dogs and cats that we have for that display. So we've given quite a bit of square foot space to this company because it does do well and people react to dogs and cats. I think in whatever business you're in, people just tend to react to dogs and cats. Any questions about this display?
There's nothing typed in at this time.
Okay, then I'm going to very quickly, I just have to move in my store here, but just give me a second so you don't get dizzy. Just hang on a second, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've moved over to a display that happens to be all of our holiday fabrics, or what's left of our holiday fabrics at the moment. And so I've got both Halloween and Christmas. We're definitely down on that. But one of the things that I want to talk about here is that when you are putting product into a display like this, do not pack it so tight that the customer cannot get the item out, whether it's a bolt of fabric or any other product. If I can't easily remove that bolt from the display, then it is too tight. You could even say 3 inches ease space, you want to call it, if you want to call it that, give it a word. The ease space between bolts is necessary between product. So don't ever try to squeeze things in so tight. Another thing when I talk about space, I also like to talk about negative space. And what you can see above me, behind me, is a quote on the wall. When I first started, I had that, and I've been in business 12 years. I had that feeling that I should cover every inch of the store and of the wall. And you might get the feeling, I am in an old building. It's 30 years old, huge, tall ceilings. And it did not take me very long to figure out that when I literally had a quilt in every spot, the cost of those store samples was overwhelming. When I actually sat down and figured out what the cost of all those store samples were and what it was taking up, I'm like, you know what? It's okay to have a little negative space or a little space, a white space in between things. I do like quotes. And so I finally decided, though, that I needed to put some different things up on the walls in places permanently. It's that, I'll say, stick stuff. So it's permanent as far as I'm concerned, but it could come off if I needed to. So always remember that, that negative space. The other thing that I want to show you is, again, just because I have a cubicle setting and it could have bolts all the way through this, I have started to open up one spot and use different pieces of furniture. Like this is a drawer turned on its side, or a crate, a crate turned on its side, to help house the kits. So these are all Christmas kits. So they're readily available. So if I have a customer over here and they are looking at the Christmas stuff, then my kits are right here, or several of them are, so they don't have to go looking for them, as well as I don't have to feel that I need 20 more bolts to fill that space up. Just because you have the bolt space doesn't mean it has to have bolts in it. So you can get really creative. We've got drawers turned, and we've pretty much done that in all areas of our store to offer, again, the opportunity to hold back quarter bundles, different things. In addition, I like to keep any additional products. Let's see if I can just turn it just a little bit, that are appropriate. So like here we have a pillow and the kit, some extra charm squares. This is all a beautiful Moda collection, actually, called Christmas Eve. And then also any other kinds of projects that fit in to that Christmas section. Another point I like to make is, when you create a display, make sure it will not collapse if the customer touches it. Do not create some kind of thing that the customer can't interact with it, because we're tactile. We're going to pick this up. And if you have it so created that, like, if somebody picks up one thing and they can't, it all falls apart, then the display is not set up correctly. All right, I think I have time to show you the third one. Darren, any questions on this one before I move on?
Nope, please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, that glorious sun. We love the sun. Okay. What I want to show you in this particular display is actually what I ended up doing with the white space. Again, it's me. I don't know. I'm sure not everybody is like this, but sometimes there's that feeling of like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with this space? And so in this particular example, I had this beautiful quilt hanging up here, and it created a big white space underneath. In the past, I would have hung another quilt under there. But I realized, again, a couple of years ago, after I'll say going into some stores that were overwhelming, was that I was actually creating confusion. And if the customer is confused, they don't know what they're looking at. So I have another quilt off to the side, and you can see that. But instead of thinking that I had to have a quilt underneath, I've left the space. But it was the perfect opportunity. All of these fabrics under here are all flannels. And I like to, again, try to figure out how to inspire the customer without necessarily a staff member standing right there, because, you know, they're walking around, right? So I got the little 3M, I don't know what you call them, contact hooks. And I've put 6 of my favorite patterns that could be used for flannel on top of that, because I think sometimes people have a hard time translating if flannel, since it's a little bit thicker, if it's going to work well in a pattern that might be intended for cotton. So I like, in particular, larger pieces. So I picked patterns that are a little bit larger. For example, and I'll just try to go this way just a little bit. One of our best-selling store samples, and you're going to see another quote there as well, is actually this pattern right here, and it's made out of flannel. And so that is one of the patterns that's hanging there. Again, I'm trying to make the connection. So not only is the kit back here, but also the individual pattern, and they're able to then say, hey, you know, these are projects that could all be used for flannel. So don't make them think. All right, those are my 3 sets that I wanted to show you this morning. And any questions at this point for me before we turn it over to Lissa?
Nope, she is no questions, and so please keep on going.
All right, Lissa, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Heidi, those are beautiful and so inspiring. And yeah, you're right. Definitely display sells. And so now I'm going to talk about samples sell. So just the sheer cost of making a sample, you know, like I have the quilt behind me, and I always am asked when people, you know, ask me if I would make a quilt for them. I just immediately say it's going to be $750 just to even see if they're interested. And at that time I was figuring, okay, $250 for fabric, $250 for labor, and $250 for quilting. Well, to me, that's the same thing to take into consideration when you have to make a sample for your store. So one way to make a sample is to actually turn that into a demo, whether you have one of your staff sitting in the store sewing, or whether or not, you know, you have, you know, a different way. But so what I've set up today is a feature with cake mix. So these are triangle papers and cupcakes that are designed to go with all of Moda's pre-cuts, layer cakes, and charm packs. So we have several different varieties of those. And the one great thing is such mindless sewing that if you are doing a demo in the store, you can sew while you're doing it. There's all kinds of extra little add-on things like the kind of needle that you use. This particular one that's on the wall behind me, I've also used Primitive Gatherings stitch along book that has all the different layouts for different triangle blocks. But all of the cake mix papers also come with a variety of different ways that you can lay out the blocks. So when you say triangles to quilter, that does scare them and kind of freaks them out because they have to match points, and you're sewing through the bias, which that can make it stretch. So I was going to sew real quick through one of these, but you literally take a print fabric, whether you want to use a solid fabric or another print, right sides together, keeping the light on the top. And then here we have our paper. And there are places where you start, you sew on the dotted lines, and then we'll come back and cut on the solid line. So I want to do that real quick and show you kind of how fast and easy. And truly, this is mindless to where you can just end up having tons of triangles done in no time flat. So And you have to turn on the machine. So for this one, I used red thread just so that you can see the stitching. And then you lower your stitch length. So it's going to perforate just like a tablet paper once you're done. And turn. Dig over to that. So this one first goes all the way through the middle. And so that's going to secure, and then you're going to come back and on this one, start it here. And the rest of that is one continuous stitch. You never stop from there. So once you have those done, then you're going to go ahead and cut it. That's that one. Let me. So again, literally, I would set the machine up in the shop and have somebody sit there and sew all the triangles. And how great is it that you're actually sewing and selling for a sample that's not even necessarily created yet. And then by adding what kind of sewing machine needles, a rotary cutter, what kind of ruler you like, and any and all pre-cuts out there, then that's going to be turned into automatic sales. So then once you cut, once you have it all sewn, I like to come in and cut without ever moving my paper. I do have this on a rotating Olfa mat. So if you do like to turn it, you can do that fairly easily. So the cake mixes and the cupcake. So the cupcakes are for the little small 5-inch pieces, and the cake mix are for the layer cakes. We name all our pre-cuts after food because quilters like to eat and cook, and so we've just had fun with that. So you can see pretty much how fast all of this happens compared to, you don't have to do any of the math. You don't have to worry about it being, 2 7/8 inches to get a 2-inch square or things like that. And it really is if you're teaching people like kids to sew, you literally teach them to sew on a piece of notebook paper and follow a straight line. So that's kind of what this is. So I'm not going to finish that up, but you can see how I've got all these different triangles perfectly sewn together. And I can just keep on doing that and having piles and piles of those happening. So then here's what I would do next with what my pile is. The nice thing about always putting the light on the top is it already gives you a very nice way to press. Like I like to open that up, press to the dark side. And I prefer to press while the paper is still on. That's just a personal preference. And because you've done it like a tablet, that small, you can just hold your fingernail here, pull, and it comes off just that easy. So that, again, mindless TV work, car work, whatever, to have a big pile of that. Or if you can get your family or grandkids, that's usually what I do, is they get to pull the papers apart. And then you'd come back and trim your little dog tails off. But that's a very nice, perfectly square piece. And then you don't have to be worried or afraid of that. Then the next thing is, then this would be, I would just start laying out my blocks in whatever particular order that I want. And like the quilt on the wall, whether or not you want to just use a lot of the patterns on the book or truly follow Primitive Gatherings little booklet. And that's what we did for this particular one, just kind of almost like a sampler, block by block. But these were all using the same size half square triangles, very, very mindless. I mean, quilting is therapy. And But then there are other kinds of options of things that you can make, like, for example, with a set of cupcake papers and charm squares, we made this pillow. So just all kinds of things like that. But I highly encourage you to have somebody set up in your store and sew and talk to people, visit with them as they come in. They're going to be so curious to see what you're working on. And it's a soft sale, and they're going to learn something and honor that. And that's kind of a little something different than what we can get on the internet. So anybody have any questions on that? Have you used triangle papers before? There's all kinds of different ones to be able to use. We just use these because they match with the charm packs. So you can also make little kits, use a print charm pack, one of our basics, and tie this together into a little bundle, and then you have a little kit. And really, you only have to have made like maybe one block as your sample. So you haven't had lots of time and money invested in that. Here is one of the same ones that we had done with some Ruby Star fabric.
Lisa, there was a question from Sally saying, what is the little book again?
Oh, the Triangle Gatherings. It's by Primitive Gatherings, and it's called Stitch Along. And I don't see an actual stock number on here. But I'm sure Triangle Gatherings, Stitch Along. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Lisa, I just want to jump in and say that as a shop owner, anytime I have ever had, even if I had one of those blocks and it was in process sitting on the cutting table, like if you want to say in between customers, I'm trimming, or maybe I'm ripping the paper off, kind of thing. It is a great conversation starter.
We just got back from market, and all of the Moda designers set up a demo. And it's so funny that in retail, there's so much psychology involved in all of it. But you'll walk down the aisle of a trade show booth and you don't cross over, because then that means a commitment. Same thing in the store. Oh, I don't want to have to talk to anyone. That means a commitment. I might have to buy something. But the whole interactive stuff, like you're saying, just being able to pick up something and talk about it, a whole nother different dynamic. And, you don't get that on the internet, the people to people face, content. And really just, we literally, before I worked for Moda, I ran a quilt store. And there was one gal that came in once a week, and that's all she did was sit and sew all day and talk to everybody. And she was, whatever she had out on the table, we knew was going to be the hot seller of the day. Not that it was intentional, but that is how it happens. So always have something out on your counter that's in progress.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There is a comment from Carol saying demos are critical. It is hard to sell someone if their feet don't stop moving.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. And really, it can be the littlest thing, whether or not it's the needles that you use or the thread, or just have that little bit of conversation. But everybody's anxious to learn, and the fact that there's no right way, or there's not only one way to do anything. People like to see that there's different ways to do it and learn from, that they assume that the person in the store is an expert, and they should be, to be able to show them stuff. So.
Yep. There's also an additional comment here from our friends at Schmetz Needles commenting, thank you, because I believe that was one of the needles. Maybe Heidi, you mentioned it when you were presenting that what you do in your store. But as Lisa, you referred to, that I always, as a novice in all of the space, it's that add-on sale. It's the pack of gum at the cashier desk when you're checking out, at the supermarket.
Yeah, and it does. The needle makes a difference. Just the whole changing your needle, changing your rotary blade are two of the most, I think, overlooked things. And once you do it, you're like, why didn't I do that earlier? To not only how pleasant the project is, but the long-term life of your machine to take care of things. We usually, I just changed the blade this morning, but we usually write with a marker the date we changed the blade so that we always know, okay, this has been there for a while. We need to swap that out. But yeah, I used the Superfine this morning because I wanted a little tiny hole again to help with the little
Perforating
like a tablet. So
absolutely. Oh, what a great demo, Lisa. And I agree. Any shop, whether you are yarn or sewing or, or paper or, fine arts, anybody should be demoing something at all times because people love to know what is going on. And I think that's what was exciting for me, even as I walked through the Moda booth. I have known Deb Strain for years and I know she paints, but I got to see her paint. And
yeah.
I loved that. I loved that because just really watching that. Are there questions for either Lisa or I about any of these things? Certainly we were trying to, just pack as much as we could into a short period of time for you here. You're welcome to come on camera or on unmute if you'd like.
There's just, there's no open questions at the moment, but please, as you said, please unmute yourself and go ahead and please speak up.
Okay.
One thing I wanted to add to the fact of if you're having somebody demo in your store and say it's one of the people that is working there, is for them not to be so busy and feel like they have to finish a project when it's really that they still might ignore the customer, when it really is you're here to start a conversation with every customer and not just by saying, hey, can I help you? We all know kind of where that question goes, but don't ever let your staff or the demoer feel like I've got to get this quilt produced so I can't spend too much time talking to you, because you can sell lots of this product way before the quilt ever even actually happens. Another thing we've started doing too is every quilt that we make an extra block to keep as a loose block. So that is not only that we've tested it, but then we have that to throw out there for photography. We have that to throw out for, again, additional conversations. So again, trying to make a sample and get it done and get the quilt done and get it all quilted and look, fantastic. A sample can be a block. So don't ever, be afraid to not already start putting up all those different blocks in your displays as they go.
No, at this point, there is no other questions. So if there's, I guess we don't have to take the full hour that we allocated to this. We do appreciate everyone joining us today and coming online to learn these interesting tips. There's kind of a few different comments that you can kind of filter through saying they love the session, love the tips. Just find it very interesting for all the things, I had to step away, but I'm excited to go back and watch. And they like the tour of the store to actually see how someone else does it. It's nice to know sometimes you're not alone or that you are doing it right, and seeing someone else do it the same way validates what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that's so much, Darren, what shop owners in general do really like is getting the inspiration from other shop owners. Again, no matter what product it is that you're selling, you could walk away from here and say, you've learned something from either Lisa or I that you could implement right now in your store.
Very true. Hold on. I think we may have missed one, so hold on, give me a moment. I'm going to search through the chat here. Great suggestion. Great presentation. Nope. Okay, we didn't miss. At least I'm not seeing. If we did miss something, please go ahead and just again unmute and ask your question, or go ahead and type it in. We do apologize if we happen to miss something that was typed in the stream of some of the messaging. Yes, there is a recording of this video. We will kind of edit just a little bit and kind of cut out some of us when Heidi did her magical appear in another part of her store. We'll shorten that stuff up so you don't have to sit there in the black silence. So we'll kind of do the magic of editing. And this will be posted on the H&H Connect platform. Then also you can check with Creative Retailer and Moda Fabrics, as they'll be able to point you to some of the content as well. There was again a question on what is the booklet? Maybe go back through the different booklets of the different items that you had, and if it's something that's available from Moda, maybe you could speak to that as well.
Yeah, it's available from Moda as well as Primitive Gatherings. So the name of it, Triangle Gatherings Stitch Along. So I know she's done this a couple of times as a quilt along with the different fabric collections, but I mean, talk about what a great resource for how many blocks. Oh, and then look at the back, all this great stuff. But it is, 100 blocks. And then in the back, it also has all kinds of different ways to set the blocks too. So this would be something you'd keep pulling out and using over and over again. So
essentially, in your store, if you do 1 block a month, you got 100 months of activities.
Hey, how about a block a day? Come on, Darren. We could do it every day.
I'm a novice, so I need more time.
And Darren, if it's okay, I'm going to just throw out that if you want more display ideas and information, we do run articles on a regular basis in our publication of Creative Retailer magazine. So if you are not a current subscriber, of course, we would love you to subscribe, and you can go to creativeretailer.com.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you, everyone. We appreciate everyone's time this morning. Please keep an eye open for our emails. Our partners here on today's call, we'd like to thank you as well. The Creative Retailer has been a strong supporter of our H&H Connect series of education, and I keep an eye out because I'm sure there'll be more great programming coming soon, and we will have at least one event on the platform every month for everyone. And also importantly, we will see you all May 1 through 3. Conference will begin on April 30th. So please mark the calendar. Tickets go on sale in February. Our content and classes will start to be introduced in December, and we will actually then make the announcement of who the speakers are in January, so that you're all kind of educated and can start planning your time. And if you've attended in the past, watch out, because we have a whole breadth of new programming, additional programming, live interaction sessions, product demos, hands-on make and takes, and more coming your way. So we are accelerating the things that we bring to the market. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you around the community.
See you at the H&H show.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.